this is where, I mean, when we have questions, when we have an ability to produce answers, and then, for questions like this, can we really use these to analyze a problem? Or say, for example, even if say I have a presentation tomorrow where, I'm talking about a specific, can I really use this to build a story? I mean, right? I think using the same principles around, how do we even build very good data stories? I mean, since it's like, just to set a little bit context on this storytelling topics, right? So it's basically, knowing your audience. Who are we really presenting this to, right? I think, this is again a very familiar problem. Many of us run into. Sometimes when we go for meetings, we produce a bunch of metrics or report, but at the same time, it is more on who's really going to be there. So it's basically, who are these people, what questions they might be interested in, what questions they might even have, right? So knowing your audience, crafting the message to convey, your message, and then of course compiling the pieces is basically, how do you really structure these different points? It could even be different metrics, different questions. How do we combine them to narrate the story, and finally, yeah, ending up, just narrating whatever, that the story have, right? So these, I mean, these are, again, I'm sure you may be familiar with. It's very common principles around, knowing your audience. Who is this story for? Who are the stakeholders, right? What do they need to know? And more than that, what do they already know? I think that is also something which is very, very essential. And how would they even consume this information and all that, right? Crafting the message is also about, what is this really story about? I mean, I'll just give an example of building one, and then, using that to build a story and all that, right? What do the audience already know? What issues are we really trying to highlight here, and how do we back this up, with data? And compiling the pieces is basically, how do we stitch them together, right? Providing the context, and of course, usually in presentations, we use, I mean, just rearranging the slides or ordering them in the right way, and right. Similarly, and finally, it is about narrating the story. So it's at the end of the day that the story has to get this part about, hey, the reason people might find it very interesting. Oh wow, this is something I didn't know. I think, how do we really create this wow factor? Can it really generate these, um, you know, in terms of, that something which they didn't know, which before they came to listening this. Right? I think that's what is really going to make the story stand out, right? How do we really achieve this using generative AI? Is what, I mean, the problem which we are trying to solve with a platform like Kia, right? How do we really achieve this? So basically what we're saying is, so today's information needs are for a platform that delivers trustworthy insights, and for across user persona, rather than custom crafting dashboards specific to certain set of users. Can we just have a platform, which whoever the user is, based on what they want to ask? Somebody might be interested in very high levels, information, or someone might be interested in, the underlying data, downloading that and doing it, using it for analysis and all that. How do we cater to a wide range of users and all that? So say, for example, if I go back to even this example, right? So maybe, my answer was, the answer I'm expecting is, hey, West region, and then, this is the 34% of sales and all that. But at the same time, I might be interested in even looking at these are basically the underlying data for the West region, for right. I might be interested in, just downloading this data and using it for some analysis or taking some actions and all that, or rather having, I may want to have someone else act on this and all that, right? I think that's why it's not necessarily that, maybe this is the answer I was expecting, but at the same time, what do we really do next? And then, if maybe if there is another user who maybe just want to download this and then, have this report generated and then present it to somebody, right? I think all those things are, should be possible in a single device. Can it really cater to a diverse set of users? Or so, right, I think that's where some, the modern day, one of the requirement for a modern day BI tool would be around this. How much can it cater to a wider variety of uses, rather than, hey, so today I'm using this tool to produce a report, another one, I'm using this one to produce a dashboard and all that. Can there be a tool which can really cater to pretty much most of the user population, right? um, so that's where, let me, sorry, I just skipped. So that's our platform, which is called basically, it's a once it uses generative AI, and then concepts around, once you train a data set or train Kia on your own lake house or any of the data sets, how big or how small it is, right? It has an ability to respond back to questions. So something like this. I mean, I just showed some of those examples, right? I mean, you ask a question like this, it can either respond back in numbers, visuals, and then, I mean, we also have it in a mobile platform where it can even respond back in voice. So somebody can, just like how we might use this. I mean, of course, it is also available in Microsoft Teams and all that, right? How we are chatting with human beings, similarly, you can ask a question or chat with Kia to get that answers, right? So what exactly it is, we call it as, this is the definition, which we would like to give. It's a smart, knowledgeable virtual data analyst, right? It can mine millions of rows of data and provide the answers, in the language you speak, right? So, basically, this is what it does. How do you turn a very, very large data set into question and answers, which can be used for, to tell stories and all that, right? So, very simple steps. It's like you take a data set, train. I mean, we have a low code platform. By the way, whatever, um, the whole, for you to get the responses and all that, whatever I just showed you right now, the whole thing happens without using our low code platform, without writing a single line of code, right? Or you train your enterprise data on Kia, and then, you just get the answers. Very simple steps, and it can connect to almost, not just these, I mean, almost all the popular database systems wherever the data is. It can connect to these. We have connectors, to most of the the large database, popular database systems, and then, it can respond back, right? And of course, when we talk about data is definitely not static. I mean, it you the data will grow, whether it is real time to batch to, on request. As the data grows, we Kia kind of learns, continuously learns, and then, uses the latest data to respond back, right? um so it's again another, a pictorial version of, how Kia really operates. It's like, when you have questions like this, so whether the data sits in an enterprise data warehouse, or it can even be your enterprise applications, it can be like Salesforce or Jira or anything, we have connectors. Kia has connectors to access the data through APIs, and then, use that to respond back. And then once you ask these platforms, and it kind of responds back with the answers and insights, right? Multiple ways. I just showed you a couple of them, the search interface as well as the chat interface. I'll also quickly show there is a mobile platform which is very popular, especially with the voice option. It is almost like having a Siri, where, when we ask Siri to, hey Siri, is it going to, how is the weather today? Similarly, you can use similar voice interface even to talk to your data. Hey, say you are going for a project review meeting, you just want, hey, how many open defects do we have on this project? Yeah, all these kind of questions, it can be asked, and, and the mobile app will respond back, right? So, again, these are, it's completely omni-channel platform, including the first one is the low code platform, which is used to build the LLMs, and then, to train the data. The rest of the one, like I showed you, the search interface, the chat, and then the mobile platform, and all these, right? Some of the features, like, what we have, it's completely white labeled. Even though the generic platform is called Kia, The way our customers use it, these are all, called as Twinkle, Oscar, or, Polly, whatnot. All these are names, which they would give to their, and then, they just use it, um, you know, within their own environment. They just give a name, and then, that's the way it is. Um, all, as I said, it can connect to very, very large data sets and then still respond back in both voice, text, visuals, and all that.